Morning or good evening.
Good morning, Ricard.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
I'm in the right place.
Well, insofar as you're in the same place as me, you're in the right place.
Okay.
We could both be in the wrong place.
What time is it over there?
For me, it's 3:20 a.m.
Wow.
Say, what was I thinking? Whatever I saw.
It's just the other side of the world, huh, compared to India.
Yeah, and it's zero. It's between 0 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit here. I don't know what it is centigrade.
Wow, wow, wow. We have a cold winter here too, but it's more, maybe now it's 7 degrees Celsius now.
Yeah. So I'm going ice fishing tomorrow. So.
Are you? Wonderful. I've never done that.
Well, I haven't either, but I have a buddy who's going to teach me one of my past residents.
Great, great, great adventure, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Is Shobana joining us too?
Yeah, he's on call, evidently. So
Oof.
he should be doing it. I mean, it's all videotape. Our main interaction is going to be the discussion, I would expect.
I guess that we will see now our own presentations, no?
Yes.
And
yes,
after that, the discussion. Yeah.
It's very dysphoric. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's a terrible speaker. I presented 2 days ago.
Yeah, I saw it.
There's been some good presentations, but they're all like in the middle of the night. Like,
Yeah.
This is a really good meeting. And right now, there's some sort of a radiology workshop.
Yeah, at the same time. Yeah.
Or no, right before us, I think, or maybe at the same time. I don't know.
It was before. I don't. Yeah, I read something about radiology, but I don't remember what it was at the same time. But this is the last table of the Congress, our one.
Yeah. So the radiology, their time was 11:45 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Ah, so it's over.
Our session is 2 to 3 p.m. Then at 3:15, they have the valedictory of thanks. So I guess we're the last.
Yes, we are.
Hello, Dr. Kofke. This is Indranil here. Am I audible?
Yes. Who's this?
Yeah. I'm Dr. Indranil. I'm Dr. Indranil, Organizing Secretary.
Oh, yes.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Dr. Ricard is there probably.
I see Dr.H.H.Dash just checked in.
I'll just check. Yeah, Dasser is there. We are just waiting for Dr. Shobana to join, and then we can start the panel discussion. So did you manage to just have a glimpse of some of the sessions other than yours, obviously?
Just on Twitter.
Okay. No, actually, because of the time zone and all, it is pretty difficult. It would have been very nice if we could have all met in Kolkata for a physical version.
Yep.
So maybe hope to do it in sometime in the near future. So our next conference is at Hyderabad. So they will probably be able to do the conference on a physical mode. And then we can all meet over there.
And where? In Calcutta?
No, Hyderabad. That is that is a city in the southern part of the country. So the next year's 2023 conference is scheduled to be held in that city.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the last session in this hall, the panel discussion on ICPNT, Am I audible?
Yeah, Dr. Sucharita, audible. Welcome.
And I would like to welcome the panelists for this discussion. May I invite Dr. Andrew Kofke, who would be speaking on the evolution of the ICPNT, to begin his presentation, please. He would also be moderating the session. Dr. Kofke, please. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Andrew Kofke. He started as an ambulance in 1967 at the age of 15 in learning CPR and Red Cross first aid as training. He administered CPR to many, and it became apparent that the neurological outcome was problematic. He continued this activity through high school and college, working in semi-rural Western Pennsylvania, being around the nascent emergency medical system of the day. He couldn't help but become aware of the presence of Peter Safer in Pittsburgh. This then became a significant reason for his choice to attend the University of Pittsburgh for medical school, where he participated in brain resuscitation research. Also, because of going to Pitt, he had also had the good fortune to meet Dr. Morris Albin, a co-founder of ISNACC, having also developed interest in brain-oriented acute care medicine, reinforced in the ICUs at Pitt with the likes of teachers like Ravik, Smider, and Fauna. This formed the basis for his career in clinical neuroscience and critical care. Kofke then did anesthesiology residence and critical care fellowship at Mass General. At Mass General Hospital, he was influenced during the critical care fellowship. He was influenced by assistant professor Dr. Alan Roper in the new MGH Neuro ICU. Neurocritical care was a brand new field, and Roper was its pioneer. Moreover, the neurosurgery ORs were a rich place for learning the many interesting aspects of neuroanesthesia. Dr. Kofke's first faculty position was at the Hershey Medical Center with Mike Snyder as mentor in the ICU and in the lab. Mentorship by Krebs trained Richard Hopkins, PhD, and Chair Julian Bybeck, MD, DPhil. After that, he was on faculty at the University of Pittsburgh, West Virginia University, and UPenn. Dr. Kofke was director of neuroanesthesia at all three places and initiated the founding of a neuro ICU at Pitt and the neurocritical program at UPenn. A very inspiring CV, and may I request Dr. Kofke to please start his presentation.
To give an overview, Dr. Valero to talk about ICPNT accreditation and how it influenced their program, Dr. Dash to talk about the potential benefit of global collaboration for the growth of programs in India, and Dr. Rajan to talk about the future of ICPNT. I'm glad to be invited to give this talk to the ISNACC. My topic is going to be to review the evolution of ICPNT and basically what it's about. As you can see, the ICPNT stands for the International Council for Perioperative Neuroscience Training. Neuroscience fellowships were a topic of great interest in the early years of ISNACC, which is now in its 50th year. There's been an ongoing discussion and debate, which is overviewed in the history articles which have been published by Dr. Albin and by myself in past years. Dr. Albin wrote a seminal article on the need for neuroanesthesia fellowships in the fall 2008 ISNACC newsletter. And now I'd like to go over some notable quotes over the years from ISNACC leaders relating to fellowship. We can start with Art Lamb's quote in 2003, where he stated that neuroanesthesia is a specialty that has come of age. It's widely recognized. It has a division in virtually all academic centers. The neurosurgeons have come to expect neuroanesthesiologists for expertise for patients with major neurologic disease. Then Maurice Albin, the same year, indicated that his paper for the 2003 SNACC meeting emphasized the remarkable changes that have transformed neuroanesthesia practice since he began in '62 and since the 1973 organization of the predecessor to SNACC, which was the Society of Neurosurgical Anesthesiology. Dr. Albin in 2003 summarized that the progress up to that point had been manifested by enhanced knowledge of the dynamics of the brain and spinal cord, pathophysiology, and interactions with anesthesia, formation of the neuroanesthesia fellowship programs in many academic centers around the world, developing standards of care for many neuroanesthesia procedures, the teaching of neuroanesthesia in residency and medical school curriculum, then the formation of SNACC and numerous international societies and their recognitions as spokespeople for neuroanesthesia. And then there's the existence of a dedicated journal of neurosurgical anesthesiology and the Indian Journal of Neuroanesthesia in Critical Care. So there's been numerous neuroanesthesia societies have developed, and this is international, which support the widespread growth of knowledge and interest in neuroanesthesia and thus making it a suitable area for fellowship training. Again, Maurice Albin, who was my teacher in medical school a long time ago, indicated that in 2008 now, again, I have made a plea for strengthening our fellowship programs and have advocated that we aim for subspecialty certification. He was an inveterate and continuous advocate for fellowship training in neuroanesthesia. And then Ramses Galley in 2009 sent a letter to the editor to the SNACC newsletter, and he's a neurosurgeon and a neuroanesthesiologist, double trained. And so he indicates that among all the anesthesia subspecialties, neurosurgical anesthesia enjoys the best diversity and development. The neuroscience field has been impacted not only in neurosurgical and neurology fields, but also by neuroimaging, neuromonitoring, neurodevelopment, and nanosurgery. The field is constantly changing and has a tremendous future. It's one of the fields that is in an infantile stage now and is moving progressively. So I'd like to review then the timeline which followed this apparent support for the development of ICPNT. And we can start here in India. And here you see the surgeon, but we have a neuroanesthesia team too, supporting the patient and the surgeon back in 500 BC. Then we jump to 1986, where SNACC, the SNACC Education Committee developed the first that I know of suggested curriculum for a neuroanesthesia fellowship. Then in 2002, and this became apparent to me in 2016. In 2016, in a presentation by Dr.H.H.Dash at the World Congress of Anesthesiology, which had a symposium on education in neuroanesthesia here, and he presented that in India there's a 3-year degree course which is after the MD and has a written examination followed by interview. I was very impressed, and this presentation was a singular impetus along with the other presentations for the development of ICPNT. So SNACC developed an ICPNT task force to evaluate support for accreditation, define routes for accreditation, and choose the best route. A paper was published led by George Mashore, where they looked at the accreditation and standardization of neuroanesthesia fellowship programs to establish whether there was support for it. Well, this is the slide. This is the section that indicates the degree of support. These are percents of respondents, and most of the respondents provided medium to enthusiastic support for neuroanesthesia fellowships, with most suggesting that a 1-year program would be appropriate. And then Dr. Mashore published and his group published a paper on curricular guidelines, which then subsequently have formed the basis for ICPNT curricular guidelines. So along the way, there have been numerous peer-reviewed publications discussing neuroanesthesia education and fellowship training. And here we see from Canada, the United States. This is a general one here from Spain, Europe. And this is an editorial which Ferraro and I published summarizing the goals of ICPNT in JNA. So we were looking for venues or are supporting organizations. And first, of course, is the American Council for Graduate Medical Education, ACGME. Widely accepted and validated, but it's in the United States only, and although there may be an international option now, it was very bureaucratic, and the support for the programs is medium, and you're unable to use trainees as billing faculty, which may in the future turn out to be very important, because in the US, programs rely on Medicare to fund ACGME trainees, and I'm not sure that that's going to continue in the future. And there's UCNS, which is the United Council of Neurologic Subspecialties. This is an appealing option. It can include a neurocritical care path in addition to neuroanesthesia, and we view neuroanesthesia as a neurologic subspecialty. The organization that is sponsoring the fellowship needs to get membership in UCNS. So we applied, and it is still a US only organization, and we were rejected. That's when we found out that neurologic subspecialty to these people means a subspecialty of neurology, not anything else. Since a neurologist could not participate in a neuroanesthesia fellowship, they didn't want to support it, even though there have been multiple conversations indicating support. So ISNACC developed the ICPNT based on what we had seen the neurosurgeons did, their CAST, which is a Committee on Advanced Subspecialty Training, which is overseen by a neurosurgery society. Well, the ICPNT then is overseen by ISNACC. It provides an international option, and it doesn't rely on government support for fellowship for the fellowships. So our vision is to ensure the maintenance of an exceptional worldwide educational system in perioperative neuroscience. So that we have the option to combine a 1 year clinical 1 year of clinical neuroanesthesia with clinical basic neuroscience research, neurocritical care, neuromonitoring, pediatric anesthesia. So a trainee could do a year of neuroanesthesia fellowship and then add on to that neurocritical care or neuromonitoring or these other areas to become really a superstar in perioperative neuroscience. Now, I'd like to point out that this traditional method of an accrediting organization dealing with various programs that it oversees accreditation is on the left, and we call that the 20th century model. Traditional communication path between accrediting organization and programs. It would be our aim is rather to also have this model, but also to encourage communication and collaboration among programs. So here's what we have presently. Many of the programs that are already in our group of accredited programs with ICPNT at the center, and this is what we consider a novel system of networking between ICPNT and accredited programs. So it's an international neuroanesthesia educational network, not just an accrediting organization. We support a network, and this is starting out shown by the example of these webinars, which we've supported in this past year. And the various topics presented by individuals from around the world. And you can see the topics here, the neuromonitoring, intracranial hypertension, and neurophysiology. So it's increasingly an international educational network. And here's our map of accredited programs, but notably our webinars have participation, which is significantly more disparate. So in conclusion, a need for accreditation, a neuroanesthesiology fellowship has been identified and supported. ISNACC has accepted the task for oversight of accreditation. ICPNT is a nonprofit entity currently related to and supported by ISNACC, with the goals to initiate an international accreditation process, support international education in neuroanesthesia, improve neuro care everywhere. ICPNT is seeking involvement from interested international groups. So I thank you for your attention. And we'll move on to the rest of the panel and then have questions at the end.
Our next speaker is Dr. Valero, who's going to talk about how ICPNT accreditation influences programs in Barcelona, Spain.
So we welcome Dr. Ricard Valero for the speaker as the next session. Next talk. Dr. Ricard is a director of the Fellowship Program of Neuroanesthesiology in Hospital Clínica de Barcelona. He is an anesthesiology specialist since 1990, head of the Neuroanesthesiology department in the same hospital since 2008. He is a director of the Fellowship Program of Neuroanesthesiology, past member of ICPNT Executive Committee, professor of anesthesiology at the University of Barcelona, the co-director of Clinical Skills Laboratory at the Faculty of Medicine and Healthcare Sciences at the University of Barcelona, and director of the Master Degree of Neuroanesthesiology at the University of Barcelona. So now I invite Dr. Ricard to start his talk.
Good morning in Kolkata. Thank you, Dr. Kofke. It's my pleasure to be part of this panel, and I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation. In the next few minutes, I will try to explain our experience to face a successful application to the ICPNT accreditation program and how this accreditation has affected our institution and our team. First of all, let me explain you who we are. We are the anesthesiologist team in charge of the neuroanesthesia activity in the Hospital Clinic of Barcelona, which is a public university hospital that it is attached to the University of Barcelona. Our university is one of the most important universities in Spain, and it is ranked among the 100 first universities in the world rankings. University of Barcelona has more than 41,000 students with 73 graduate degrees and more than 150 master degrees, one of those being the Master of Neuroanesthesia we coordinate. This is a picture of Barcelona and the Hospital Clinic de Barcelona in the middle of the city, together with the medical school. And this is our team, our anesthesiologist team, together with some of our anesthesia nurses. What are the activities we do in our team? First of all, our clinical activity. We are not a center with a huge activity. We run 2 daily neurosurgical operating rooms with about 1,000 surgeries per year. And we also take care of the interventional neuroradiology, as well as the ECT patients and the ophthalmologic operating rooms. We also are part of the functional units of the Neuroscience Institute, such as the stroke unit or the epilepsy unit. And our staff is also working in several units of the anesthesia department, including the surgical ICU. We have an active research activity belonging to several research nets and collaborating with some international research groups. And although we not publish many papers, we are proud to have some of them already published in international journals. Other than this, we have a huge teaching activity. We have activity in every stage of the medical formation, from the medical students, anesthesia residents, students of our neuroanesthesia master. And until we got the accreditation for the ICPNT, we had a short time and neuroanesthesia fellowship that was variable, the period from 1 to 6 months, according to the different fellows' availability. I would like to particularly focus on my attention on the blended master program of our university that we started 5 years ago. And we have mainly students from Central and South America, mainly due to the facilities of the language, which is Spanish. In 2017, we published a European survey to assess the development of neuroanesthesia fellowships in Europe and different Europe institutions and countries. And we found that there were not a homogeneous development of local fellowships. And just in one country, in Finland, the fellowship was officially established countrywide. However, the vast majority of the surveyed participants would support a standard advanced training in neuroanesthesia. At this point, we merged with some American colleagues with the same interest, and as Dr. Kofke just explained, ICPNT was born. The basis of the fellowship accreditation were established, and our team in Barcelona decided to apply and try to get the certificate for our fellowship program. So how did we manage to succeed and get our program accredited? Let me explain for those of you who are interested in become accredited in the near future how we did it and how you could do to get it. The first way, the easy way to start is just to connect to the ICPNT webpage, and that you might find a lot of information that you need. You may see here the full process of the application step by step. And there you will be able to start checking what you have and what you need for the application. In this particularly web window, you might find all the documents you need. And particularly, you have to pay attention to the program requirements document. In this document, which is very helpful, you may understand all the requirements you will need to get this accreditation, including the institutional requirement you'll need to fulfill, the different members of your staff, anesthesiologists, and other specialists and support personnel, and the resources, both educational and practical, that you may need to do that. You also find here the educational program with all the mandatory and the suggested rotations, the how to develop the fellow appointment and the fellow evaluation and the program quality assessment. And as I say, you have to pay carefully attention to this document in detail. Just by doing this, we had the chance to evaluate our own situation. No? And in fact, it is one of the advantages of trying to accreditate that you audit your own resources. No? Do you have the support of your institution? Do we have the support of our institution? Do we have enough activity in the different type of procedures? Do we have all the mandatory rotations covered? Do we have the appropriate space for our fellowship? What depends on us, what depends on others, and what we're missing in our team. Once this was done, we started to look for the alliances we needed. For example, get an agreement with a neurologist of our stroke unit and the neurologist in charge of the neurophysiology monitoring to establish a formal rotation to standardize the learning of interpretive neuromonitoring and the learning of the transcranial Doppler. We also organized a rotation with our neuroradiologists to complement the rotation of the anesthesia and neuroangio suite. And of course, we set a formal rotation of the fellow in the surgical ICU, where it is managed by our own anesthesiologist. But we also had to look for alliances out of the hospital. In our hospital, we do not have pediatrics, so we had to contact with the pediatric hospital we are related to. In fact, this pediatric hospital is also the university hospital, the University Pediatric Hospital associated to University of Barcelona, where our own medical students and our residents rotate. And in our case, this was the only resource we had to formally establish with other hospitals out of our own. But in your case, maybe others according to your own resources. Other than audit our resources, or the activity resources, we also had to audit our educational resources. No? And at this point, we need to rebuild our fellow assessment, divide it into the different rotations. And we also had to actualize the way the fellows evaluate us, and evaluate the quality of our teaching too. With all this information, then you should have to do your paperwork and collect all the documents you need. You will need the formal institutional letter of agreement and at least one letter for every external clinical site, the record of your annual procedure activity, and you should also start recording or asking your colleagues for the CV. And it is of particular importance, the description of the program director CV, who is one that will be the responsible of the full program. And finally, you will need to provide a description of the fellowship goals or your educational modules, the way you perform the fellow appointment, how you are going to supervise your fellows, how you're going to evaluate them, and how is your formal didactics program and your design and scholar activity. And where you're ready with this, then you can start the procedure of accreditation. Be aware that the ICPNT will provide you with one colleague that will review your application and that will help you to navigate through all this process. Now, someone that will help you to understand how you need to fill the documents and describe your resources, helping you to highlight your strengths and helping you to solve your program weaknesses, and I recommend you to use them. Where are we now? Well, we started our program accredited on June last year, and well, we offered this program to our residents and to other colleagues from our city or from our master to join us, and we get one new fellow to start this year, in fact 6 months ago. What are the advantages of having your accreditation? First, I should say that we have increased the prestige of our neuroanesthesia team. We were the second, maybe the third program accredited in Europe, and the first one in whole Spain. And this helped us to be in the wave crest of the neuroanesthesiology in Spain. We are well identified by our colleagues and recognized by the other neuroanesthesia teams in the country. Second, we have a severe shortage of anesthesiologists in Spain, and to have this teaching program makes our team and our hospital a bit more attractive for your anesthesia fellows, and that may consider us to learn and to work with us. Unfortunately, since we work in a public health system where the majority of the medical educational activity is public, nor we neither our institution get any kind of economical reward or economical saving by having fellows. That means that in spite that we get the support of the institution, we do not get any kind of help or any incentive from our health system to promote this kind of programs. Other than this, the educational resources of the ICPNT are very important, and in particular, the Neuroanesthesia Program Relations Committee are constantly increasing the resources, giving all fellows the chance to improve their knowledge and to stay connected with other colleagues around the world. But to conclude, the ICPNT accreditation helped us to audit and order our teaching activity, to assess better our fellows and our program, to be able to standardize our program with at least the minimum international requirements, and to promote our team and institution, and more important than this, enjoy to belong to an international family of neuroanesthesia teaching addicts. Thank you for your attention, and I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Ricard. We will take the questions, views, and comments at the end of this panel discussion. Now I invite Professor Dash, H.H.Dash, my teacher and teacher of many many other neuroanesthetists in India, to give his views. Sir, CV, please. Yeah, so it gives me immense pleasure to again introduce my teacher, Professor Harihara Dash. He is Emeritus Professor of Anesthesiology and Pain Medicine at Fortis Memorial Research Institute, Gurgaon. And he has held various academic positions from the year 1978 till 2012 at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, out of which he was a professor and head of neuroanesthesiology in 1993 till 2012, and Chief of Neurosciences Center, AIIMS, from 2006 to 2012. He has done his WHO Fellowship, which is a 3 months training in neuroanesthesiology at US and Canada in 1993. So I request him to start sharing the slides. So the slides are with us. Shall we share them?
Sir, we have your slides. Do we share it on behalf of you? So you are muted.
Please share the slides.
So we are sharing your slides. You just need to say next slide.
Okay. I have brought greetings from my hospital and wish all of you a healthy life. Thank you. Next slide. See, my topic is what are the potential benefit by associating ourselves with the ICPNT, that is global collaboration. Next slide. Whenever you ask such a question, what are the benefits? So automatically 3-4 points come to our mind. That is number one, accrue best practices, exchange ideas so that new ideas one can inculcate, and learning new skills. And the last one, which I have not included, that is economical benefits. Maybe in the long run it may provide some economical benefits. Best practices, by accruing best practices, one can maximize the benefits and minimize the risk, which may help the providing better patient care and also carrying out multicentric research work. By learning new skill, one may optimize the patient's safety and outcome, and a good neurological recovery is provided to the patients. And all these things, these higher quality results, one has to maintain it, for which this survey, you'll have to do your own survey to find out whether you are maintaining higher quality or not. Next slide, please. However, there are so many, few disadvantages of global collaboration. Too many POCs leaders may emerge, which is a very difficult proposition, and complicit in working styles may slowly develop. Ego may creep in, and there may be some of the members become disgruntled. And particularly, I am talking to my friends from the USA, one should not think that he is the big brother. So that dadagiri, I think at times it ruins the global collaboration. Next slide. However, there are three key elements for the successful globalization. That is 3 C's: communication, collaboration, and cooperation. With free and frank communication between the members, the confidence is built and the trust is created so that the collaboration lasts longer and on a healthy ground. And this collaboration also helps to catalyze the broader networks, and one can spread your tentacles into different countries. And it enables partnership and different innovation, which will help in patient care and research. However, cooperation empowers the volunteers, and these volunteers, both nationally and internationally, they try to ensure inclusiveness. And all this will lead to better decision making, implementation of initiative, and adaptation to change. Next slide. The goals of globalization are to provide information, which our ISNACC is doing very sincerely and with utmost dedication. And one of our esteemed member, Dr. Girija Rath, is publishing the news bulletin from ISNACC regularly, and he's getting a lot of accolades for that. And it also empowers the member countries and members of the different groups. And particularly, we invite the ISNACC members, and ISNACC also deputes our Indian colleagues to the other countries. And please go to the last slide. The support, the ISNACC always support excellence in research, and our students, particularly my students, 2008, 2011, and last in 2020, one of my students also got the travel grant, and in 2021, I think Dr. Ankur from PGI got the one of the award. And of course, hope it will provide also financial incentives. Next slide. So the question arises, what is the present scenario of neuroanesthesiology and neurocritical care training and teaching program in India. Next slide. See, in 2002, the All India Institute started the first DM neuroanesthesia, a 3-year course for which both entrance and exit tests are there, and which is very difficult for the whole of country. And in 2003, it was in Sri Chitra, the DM neuroanesthesia started. And recently, I mean not recently, maybe 5-6 years back, it was started in Nimhans, and which was followed by PGI Chandigarh. And I heard that in AIMS Rishikesh, Bhubaneswar, and maybe Bhopal, they have also started DM neuroanesthesia. And JIPMAR is another central institute which has also started, and their candidates have passed out. So, but the major problem here I must mention, and I am sure my people will agree with me, that in some of the centers, the infrastructure and the teachers are to be provided to impart good training and teaching. Next slide. The DNB neuroanesthesia was my baby, which we went and in 2010 gave the proposal to the DNB, and it was approved in 2017, and the first batch was recruited in 2018, and both from south to north and from east to west, you can see that the people are doing, the students are doing DNB in neuroanesthesia. However, I must tell the quality of teaching and training has to be monitored and regulated. I think maybe by our ISNACC. Next slide. The ISNACC, of course, this PDF or PDCC neuroanesthesia was started initially by Sri Chitra, and then SGPGI, Kolkata, and Banaras also. They had both entrance and exit exams, but nowadays those have been stopped, and it is run by our ISNACC. And every year we produce around 10 to 12 students, and this is a 1-year course, and there is exit exam which is conducted in the government institutions, in the impartial centers, and this still maintains the quality of exam, but the teaching and training program has to be streamlined by the ISNACC. Next slide. One of my students in Fortis Hospital asked me, "Sir, I want to do more." So when these two icons, one from the film industry, Shah Rukh Khan, and the other is from cricket industry, that is, cricket, that is sports, if they can think that Dil Mange more means our heart is craving for more, why not we provide? So I suggested to my student, why not to join ICPNT? Next slide. This is, I think, an iconic movie, Three Idiots. The principal used to believe in successful candidates. However, one of the students, he was the outstanding student, he believes in excellence. I always usually teach my students to be excellent in whatever field you are. So in considering that, I think the ISNACC, next slide please. Next slide. Through the ICPNT, this panel discussion, I want to put the ball, of course, with the help from Kofke and others, into the ISNACC's basket. Let the ISNACC do Atma Manthan. That means, next slide. This is the beautiful painting which I took it from the, I photographed it from the international airport from Bangkok. This is from the Hindu mythology. Samudra Manthan means from which both poison and nectar was delivered to the gods and the demons. So let's see, let our ISNACC in their executive think about this and do Atma Manthan and come out with some concrete proposal. Next slide, please. Let the Almighty bless the whole world and let this Corona be free from this whole world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inspiring words and for your blessings. As discussed previously, we will take the questions at the end of the session. Would we now move on to the next speaker, Dr. Shobana Rajan, please? And she would be speaking on the futuristic approach to ICPNT. Dr. Shobana Rajan, she works at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston in Neuro Anesthesiology. And she says that she has served as one of the board of directors at ISNACC and is currently the vice chair for the ICPNT for perioperative neuroscience training. Serving in the area of education related to neuroanesthesiology, her vision is to contribute further to this area. She received the Distinguished Educator Award for teaching at the ASA at San Diego in 2021 and the ISNACC Lifetime Teacher Award in 2020, and has many publications related to neuroanesthesia education and some related to neuroanesthesiology research and some reviews. She also has a number of book chapters and to her credit. May I invite Dr. Rajan to please give her lecture.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shobana Rajan, and I am the Vice Chair for the International Council for Perioperative Neuroscience Training. Once again, I thank the organizers of the ISNACC to give us this time to discuss with you how the horizon looks for the future of neuroanesthesia training. Organization, that is the ICPNT, has the mission to set high-quality neuroanesthesia educational standards globally and improve patient outcomes. To achieve this mission, our vision statements are to accredit and thereby ensure standardization of neuroanesthesia education with an international spectrum and scope, to promote collaboration between accredited programs, leading to quality education for fellows graduating from these programs, and to contribute to education and research to our specialty through networking and partnerships. So I'm going to be talking about the following. The first thing is I would like to describe this accreditation process, which is a very novel type of process. Secondly, I would describe how together we would standardize neuroanesthesia education globally. We will also talk about how we collaborate and network and how we've incorporated some innovative concepts of assessment, evaluation, and feedback, which all programs could use. And we are also going to be talking about, I'll also be talking about how we plan to develop new learning modules, trainings, and certifications. Also, our goal would be to help new hospitals develop a fellowship program if they need the tools for it. So we'll start with the first part, that is the fact that this is a novel process for accreditation. Now, if you have a fellowship that you would like to accredit, the first thing would be to review the ICPNT program requirements to see if your curriculum fits in with these. But I do want to mention that the program requirements are written in such a way that it supports all the international differences in training culture and regulations. Now, each application itself has two stages. The first is a formative submission where the application is submitted and 3 reviewers are assigned. They review the application and see if there are any reasons that the application is not meeting current guidelines or may even be exceeding current guidelines. Come back to the program, discuss with them, and then a final application is submitted. At that time, we do a summative evaluation in a review committee meeting, and a voting is cast, and the final accreditation is A1 for 5 years, or A2 for 3 years, or A3 for 1 year. So if there are deficiencies noted in the curriculum, then an A3, that is a 1-year accreditation, gives adequate time for the programs to see what they need to change and improve. So the next aspect is how we would be doing global standardization of neuroanesthesia education. Currently, if you look at the situation in the world with respect to neuroanesthesia education, it is kind of very heterogeneous. There is no proper standardization in terms of either curriculum. Some places they do 6 months, some 1 year, some much more, and there is no standard accreditation either for these fellowships. So the ICPNT was developed to have some sort of the standardization and to make the training more structured. And the mission is ultimately to increase the value of neuroanesthesiology and achieve the growth that other subspecialties like cardiac anesthesia, for example, might have already achieved. So I just wanted to mention that the way the ICPNT has structured its curriculum is based on the adaptation of the 3 pillars, which was described by the visionary past president of the ISNACC, who was Dr. George Mashur. Pillar 1 is learning about foundational neuroscience and anesthesiology. Pillar 2 is anesthesia for neurosurgical procedures. And pillar 3 is neurological outcomes in non-neurological surgery. For example, geriatric patients who may develop delirium and cognitive dysfunction, or somebody for a non-neurological surgery, but they have had a stroke prior. So these are the things that could fall into this 3rd pillar. Now, the curriculum consists of essential elements divided into 4-week modules, and we mandate that at least 6 modules should be completely neuroanesthesia, with 1 module for interventional neuroradiology, at least 1 module neuromonitoring and neuroscience scholarship, and the remaining modules in the particular year could be devoted to other electives such as transcranial Doppler, pediatric neuroanesthesiology, etc. Therefore, there is a structured curriculum. At the same time, there is also some flexibility built into it. And the next aspect is collaboration and networking. And so I want to present to you the heart of the ICPNT, which is the Neuroanesthesia Program Relations Committee. This committee plays an active role in networking and collaboration between programs. It organizes monthly webinars, and which is on a Zoom platform currently. These are the lists of webinars that we've offered, and it is really very well attended. There is international collaboration between lot of neuroanesthesiology faculty and ICPNT accredited fellows. The programs and their fellows are the ones who present journal clubs and cases in these webinars. During the COVID pandemic, this committee reached out to fellowship programs around the world to survey the impact that the COVID pandemic had on clinical training, education, and the emotional wellness of the trainees in neuroanesthesia. And the results published would also serve as evidence to show how programs used innovative methods to handle the crisis at its peak. During our ISNACC annual meeting in 2021, we provided a workshop. Last year, it was on perioperative brain function monitoring workshop, which again was very well attended and was oversold and very successful. And every year, there are 1 or 2 workshops which are offered by ICPNT, which could be at a reduced rate or even free for fellows from the ICPNT programs. Last year, we also organized a virtual program director meet and greet, which was an excellent discussion between the program directors regarding various aspects of their fellowships. And there was also a virtual wine and cocktail event, and everybody toasted online. So when you compare the traditional communicating path between an accrediting organization and its programs, it's usually a linear line. There's a connection between the organization and the program. But the ICPNT is very different in the sense that there is a lot of collaboration even amongst programs and with the ICPNT. So it definitely, the whole process, and everything looks very different from a traditional type of accreditation. Next, we go to innovative concepts of assessment, evaluation, and feedback that the ICPNT is organizing. For example, in terms of assessment and evaluation, it is based on milestones. So milestones during training are actually opportunities for early identification of struggling residents or fellows. And these milestones provide explicit expectations for performance of the trainees. They support better self-directed assessment and learning and facilitate better feedback for professional development, as well as for accreditation. We've also set up an examination committee, which would standardize and set up global assessment strategies. And a question bank is also being developed, which will be available for the accredited programs to use, and they can use it to give exams for their trainees in a quarterly fashion, or even at the end of the year. So that way, the complete education, not just the training, but also assessment and evaluation is standardized. There's also a plan to develop multiple learning modules and certifications. For example, neuro monitoring. Not every program would offer all types of monitoring, and therefore these modules have been developed so that programs can use it to train their trainees. So we plan to develop some modules on interventional neuroradiology, process EEG, maybe awake craniotomy, and work is in progress regarding these. An important goal of ICPNT is also to develop neuroanesthesia in those areas where it is not really well established. So, for example, if there is a place where a new program needs to be developed, then ICPNT would offer a helping hand to set up the curriculum and develop educational standards here. So, the benefits of accreditation, I would say that it offers some key highlights, which include global collaboration in education and research. And we're also going to help with in development of new programs. Neurosurgery is developed in many parts, is performed in many parts of the world, and developing a structured plan to train the future generation of neuroanesthesiologists would be an important goal. Thank you again for offering this chance to talk to you about the future of ICPNT, and look forward to any questions. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you. Can everyone hear me? This is Kofke. So that was a nice overview of ICPNT. I think that it's a nascent, it's a new enterprise, which I think can augment neuroanesthesia training and communication around the world. Dr.Dash's comment about the arrogant Americans is indeed relevant, and we've been trying to be cognizant of this issue, and thus is how we endeavor to have as much international participation and contributions as we can. So now we have program directors from Qatar, from Australia, from China, in Beijing, Europe, Canada, every continent except Africa and Antarctica right now. And we're hoping to have it develop into a big deal, internationally. So we have a question from Dr. Rath, which maybe Dr. Dash can help me with, but what can ICPNT offer to India where there already is robust training available? As I say, it's just an example of the international collaboration, international networking. I had no idea how robust this was until that World Congress affair. We communicated, we had that communication, and it improved it, and it led to this sort of improvement. And I think India has a lot to offer the world. Similarly, you don't want to be isolated and be the just India Neuroanesthesia Society. So I don't know if Dr. Dash has anything to add to that.
I think during my lecture, I had already mentioned about the neuroanesthesia training program is growing very rapidly in some of the institutions where the infrastructure is lacking. The teachers, not well trained, maybe one or two youngsters are there. That is the reason I think if ICPNT steps in, we may able to, or our ISNACC also can take an upper hand to regularize and to protocolize the things so that the training and teaching programs should be uniform. That is my, that was my contention.
So
Yeah.
Shobana, having been a graduate of the Indian program, do you have anything to add? You're muted.
Yeah, Dr. Kofke, can I? Girijarath here. Can you hear me?
Who?
Yes, Girija.
Yeah.
Yes.
That question was from my juniors, means I just wrote it, but then it is everybody who is asking that question.
Right.
And you are the right person to clarify that. Yeah.
Right. It's a matter of being part of the international network or being insular and being at India only. I shouldn't say only, but limited. You're limiting oneself to be just in one country. That's what we're trying to emphasize.
I think I can step in again. See, we the Indians believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, means the whole world is one family. So in that way, I think I fully support this idea of ICPNT. There is no harm in that. But in India, we have already different, two types. 3 years training program in neuroanesthesia and neurocritical care, and another is 1 year training program. So my idea is how to regularize that, in which I think first and foremost the ISNACC should step in. Then, if need, of course, from 1995, I have been collaborating with more or less ISNACC to improve the teaching and training standards in neuroanesthesia in India, because I had organized the first international conference in which Arthur Lamb, Adrian Gelb, Alan Arturo, and other people were there. I invited 10 people, 9 people came, and that was a great success, and it actually made inroads in building up the neuroanesthesia training program in India.
And I would also thank you, Dr.Dash. That's very important. Some of the. I also just want to add that India can offer a lot of insight into neuroanesthesia education to the world, and ICPNT is a good platform on which this can be done. And so in the broad scheme of improving neuroanesthesiology outcomes and improving and getting our specialty well known to the world, it might be important to have such a common platform on which all of us can be together and collaborate with each other. So that's my thinking. One of the important reasons why we should all be together as one body. There are other smaller distinct advantages for fellows. This collaboration can help with maybe away rotations and observerships and things like that, which we are working on all those things. And as I mentioned in my talk, some new learning modules and things like that can also be used.
That's a great idea.
We have a question. Is Vcfmg certification mandatory for fellowship in the United States? Shobana maybe can shed more light on this. I think it's important if, in order to do clinical work, I think that it is mandatory. Every country has its own obstacle to entry. The United States is expert at providing obstacles to entry. The 50 different states, we each with their own set of rules. It's quite a complex. Do you have anything to add to that? Is that a correct statement, Shobana?
That is an absolutely correct statement. I was a neuroanesthesiologist in India before I moved to the United States, and in order to do a clinical fellowship, I started off as a fellow at in neuroanesthesia at the Cleveland Clinic. I did have to do my ECFMG and USMLE exams, and then that allows you to be a fellow in some of the hospitals here and train.
An example of the differences across states is in Pennsylvania, you have to have done a full anesthesia residency before doing a fellowship. In the state of Washington, I think you can go straight to the fellowship without having done the residency, and every other state has their own set of rules. So it's nothing uniform here. And then there was another question of about neurocritical care. It's a required rotation for an ICPNT accredited fellowship with room to do more in the elective time. So yes, it is in the curriculum, and you know, we would encourage anyone doing actually a full, like a ACGME or UCNS or whatever certifying body, a year of neurocritical care plus neuroanesthesia creates a real expert.
It is a mandatory rotation, and
Yes.
1 month is mandatory. In addition, you can take another month of elective time, but this is within a 1-year fellowship. And
I mean, I certainly have a bias in favor of that because that's been the main thrust of my clinical practice and my research has been neurocritical care. You know, I think it's an essential part, and neuroanesthesia has an important contribution to make to neurocritical care. Which, you know, I do on rounds. I have all these neurologists who think they know neuroanesthesia until I'm there attending. Anything else to add from the panelists? If not, if folks have any other questions about, ICPNT, we have a webpage transition going on right now because we're changing our management companies. So I think some things are being rebuilt. So any questions, if anyone is interested in learning more about it, if the webpage doesn't seem to be working, just send an email straight to me, which I've got on the chat page, my email address. You know, and then I can direct you to the proper people if you have interest in getting involved in ICPNT.
Thank you, Dr. Kofke. Thank you so much, all the panelists, for a very enlightening discussion. And I would request all the audience, members of the audience, to move on to Hall A, where the valedictory session would be starting in a short while. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.